Today my video is about how much will IRS settle for. Anyway, my name is Mike Sullivan. I'm a former IRS agent and teaching instructor. I worked at IRS for a decade. I've been in private practice and defense for 40 years. I'm a national expert in IRS resolution matters. I have a whole team of former IRS agents. I've been on TV a number of times. You can find all my interviews at 777irs.com. I've worked thousands and thousands of cases. I used to teach the offer program. I used to accept them. I used to deny them. So I probably looked at more offers and be involved in more offers and compromise probably than anybody since 1973. I actually don't know anybody who's been doing this as long as I have. So anyway, today I want to tell you about how much IRS is going to settle for. By the way, you can find if you're going to do an offer, you want us to represent you, you can find my information in the contact section below. Anyway, how much will IRS settle for? There isn't a number. It's all by a formula. Let me just tell you about the formula and how this all works. So IRS, a long time ago, actually determined they're going to accept offers and compromise for people who can't pay. So let me just start out by telling you right now, if you sold everything and you can come up with a value, do you have the money to pay IRS? Well, if you sold everything and you have the money to pay IRS is not going to accept your offer. They discount your home residence 20%, but if you have $100,000 worth of total equity and everything, pension, everything, and you owe IRS $100, they're not going to settle your debt. They're just not, because you have the money to pay IRS. The offer and compromise for program is for people who don't have the money to pay their IRS debt. So don't call around and ask people, because people are going to rip you off and say, oh, there's ways to do this and ways to do that. I taught this program. IRS will not take your offer if you have the money to pay the tax and you have the liquidity. They're not going to accept your offer. So stop this video here, and if you call someone, they're ripping you off right now. That's why I do these videos. So there is a formula. So if I were getting your offer and compromise to work as a former IRS agent, I would go ahead and I would look at your offer and compromise, and I would make sure everything on the offer is complete and right. I would look at all the values that you have. I'd look at your bank account and check everything out for credibility on the form. Now, how much will IRS settle for? Here's the formula. IRS wants to know what the value of your assets are, and let's say that goes on line A, value of your assets. So you add up what's in your bank account, you add up what your car is worth, the liquidity, your home, your pension. That all goes on line A. So they come up with a total of what your assets are worth. Then IRS looks at what they call the National Standard Program for expenses. And this is the hook. This is what gets everyone. I've done a number of videos on IRS national standards. IRS is going to lock you in to how much you're allowed to spend on a monthly basis. And they do that in 4 categories: for food and clothing, housing and utilities, for car ownership, and for car operation. They tell you what you're allowed to spend. You can go in your toolbar, type IRS national standards for housing and utilities, for housing and utilities, for food and clothing, ownership cost of car, and how much you drive around, your operation of your car. So you have ownership, and they are going to self-populate those for you. You don't get to pick. If you have a $5,000 mortgage payment and IRS is only going to allow you $3,000 a month, then you got $2,000 left over. They are going to take what you have left over at the end of a given month after you fill out your expenses, and they're going to multiply that by how many months you have left on your statute. So if you have 5 months left on your statute, that's 60 months. They're going to multiply what you have left over times 60. So they're going to put the value of your assets on line A. They're going to look at what you have left over at the end of the month times what you have a number of months you have left over on your statute. Let's say it's 5 years, it's times 60. It is a formula that IRS will let you know how much you're going to settle for. You can go to the IRS pre-qualifier tool. That's a place to start to see whether you're going to get your offer and compromise through. So there is just not such a magical number or such judgment number. IRS has a very, very specific way to determine what you are going to settle for by that formula. So if you think you're an offer candidate, you want us to look at it, we're welcome to give you a free consultation. You can send me that financial form, the 433. I look at the 433A. I'll tell you in 15 seconds if IRS is going to work your offer. So understand there's a formula. It's not judgment. It's not like, well, gee, let's see. That's the only way you can get an offer and compromise through. If this information was helpful, please give me a subscription. I'd appreciate it. My contact information is below. Thank you.